Stand by, Tony. And welcome to Jeff Koinange live on this first day of April 2015. And being a Wednesday, you know it is all about politics. And on this day, we're going to talk about not only the state of the nation, but the list of shame. We all know it. The president himself threw down the gauntlet about a week ago. And he said he was going to submit a list to Parliament, a list of shame. And he did. And we have it here tonight. I try to get some of the people on this list of shame on the show. Well, you know what that's like. Politicians, beware. Because tonight we are naming just about everyone on this list, naming and shaming. Nobody is more fearless to name and shame than a man who's been sued more times than I can even remember. But he keeps on walking like you know who. Tonny Gachoka is my guest tonight. His Twitter handle is @Tonny Gachoka. Mine is @Koinange Jeff. The hashtag, pick one. List of shame, JKL, it's up to you. Fire extinguisher, check. Sonko rescue team, stepped aside. We might have the Nairobi Fire Brigade. You never know. Maybe even Recce. In the meantime, sit back. This is going to be one show you will not forget. Tonny Gachoka, TG, is in the house. Tony?
Jeff?
Good to see you, brother.
Take control of your remote control. Don't give it to your wife.
No, do not. Hold on to it.
If you're the wife, don't give it to the husband.
And if you're a politician, be afraid.
If you're a politician, jump in the swimming pool of the Intercontinental.
Tony, you've had the list for a few days. I got this list a day or so ago. My goodness, Tony, this is shameful.
Jeff, I first of all have to address the misrepresentation about His Excellency the President and the manner in which this matter has come to the public domain. Because the citizens of every country have a right to question the executive and all arms of government, and particularly the issue of legitimacy, the manner and the procedure with which anybody exercises powers bestowed upon them. Jeff, what worries me most is that most people forget that in 2010, in fact, 27th of August, 2010, we promulgated a new constitution, bringing in a new constitutional order. Actually, it was peaceful. It was historic. It was the first time the people of Kenya, bipartisan, across the political and tribal divide, the age divide, along gender, along color, came together and in one acclamation made a supreme law for which every Kenyan was entitled. And the next person who was to run for president was required, was in fact entitled not only to swear and to uphold the Constitution, but actually he had an obligation to do what others before him had failed to do. And therefore I want to start by saying that although Uhuru Kenyatta was sworn in as president there after elections in March, he was never a president who served with the old constitutional order. He served with the new. So he's the first executive we have who is accountable to the Constitution of Kenya.
Okay, before you
2010.
Quote it, Tony, and I know you will.
Yes.
What he said last Thursday, was that historic? Was that, because...
I would say this. J.F. Kennedy, the 35th president of the United States of America, when we talked about generational change, I remembered Kennedy because he was in his 40s. He was a young and dynamic as Uhuru is. And he said then that in the long history of the world, few generations are called upon to defend themselves in the hour of maximum danger. But when you're called upon, you don't shy from it, you welcome it. So if I put myself in the boots of the fourth president of the Republic of Kenya, the first president under the 2010 Constitution, this was a time when this generation has been called upon to defend itself from the scourge of corruption, has to defend itself from a few who want to destroy the many. These were the words that killed J.M. Kariuki, a country of 10 millionaires with 10 million beggars. Uhuru Kenyatta was rising to the occasion for which Wangari Maathai spilled blood, for which Matiba is in hospital now for which Timothy Njoya was beaten for which so many people in Kamkuji grounds gave their life for this constitution so there could be a man enough to be able to defend it. And Winston Churchill said, of all the virtues of a man, there is none more important than courage. So do you ask me whether Uhuru took a difficult decision? Do you ask me whether he has the courage? Do you ask me whether he has the constitutional authority? Which question do you want me to answer? To all three? Yes.
Okay, let me ask you this then, Tony. The list is endless. The people have been named and shamed. In 60 days after the investigations, what should we expect to see? Are any heads going to roll? Are any CSs going to return back to duty, back to their old posts?
Well, because I'm on Jeff Koinange Live, and because not only are you a sterling journalist with many awards and also a wonderful author who brings me here from retirement from time to time.
Indeed.
But one thing is the public listen to you, Jeff, and listen to the bench. And I think you have an obligation beyond asking me about the names to ask, first of all, are we on sound legal footing? Did the president break the law that Thursday, the 26th of March, 2015, when he went and addressed the nation? Jeff, I draw you to the Constitution of Kenya, 2010. I've listened to many lawyers, I've listened to many governors, I've listened to many commentators, none of whom have read the Constitution. With your indulgence, and because of the public interest, I want to read to you Section 254.
Go ahead.
Reporting by commissions and independent offices. As soon as practicable, after the end of each financial year, each commission and each holder of an independent office shall submit a report to the President and to Parliament. Subsection 2. At the time the President, the National Assembly, at any time, the President, the National Assembly, or the Senate may require a commission or a holder of an independent office to submit a report on a particular issue. The President required a particular issue, corruption.
Correct.
The most important, subsection 3 of the Constitution 254. And it says, every report required from a commission or holder of an independent office under this article shall be published and publicized. And because of the avoidance of doubt, and you have better English than me, could you read for the world and for Kenyans subsection 3 of 254, or reread it?
I'll reread it, Tony. It says every report required from a commission or holder of an independent office under this article shall be published and publicized.
The President, standing on his feet in front of the August House, an extraordinary meeting of both the National Assembly and the Senate, began by quoting, because of my constitutional obligation, I am here to talk about my duty as president. And in his duty, he is required, when he receives a report, to publish and publicize it. That is a requirement of the Constitution. The next part, Jeff, you will read before we go to your many questions.
Let me ask you real quick.
Sub-article,
Okay.
I want you to read
I'll get there in a
Article
moment.
2,
I'll get
subsection 3.
Okay, I will do that. Supremacy of this Constitution.
Yes.
Real quick. So 5 CSs stepped aside,
Yes.
okay? A whole bunch of principal secretaries,
Yes.
some chiefs of staff, some MDs, all mentioned in this report.
Yes.
Governors and MPs as well.
Yes.
So far, any governors resigned, Tony, as of this evening?
Let me say this. As I know, right now in handcuffs, the governor of Murang'a County, Mwangi
Wa Iria.
Iria, is now on his way in handcuffs
To Nairobi.
to Nairobi. I can also reveal here today, there are many who have gone to court. One lawyer, I don't want to name, went to court to stop the anti-corruption authority from investigating his account, because we are going to freeze these accounts. We the people. Let me tell you very clearly. You may scream and shout about this list of shame, but concrete action will follow. Step aside or not, you will be arrested.
Some governors have said they're not stepping aside.
Where is the governor from Murang'a now? On the way to some cells and probably before a court soon. Jeff, let me tell you this. This is not a choice that Uhuru has made. This is a choice the people made when they voted in a new constitutional order and asked for a president who is able to enforce the rule of law. And I can't understand what more you require of a president who won 51+1 of the majority of Kenyans, defeated his next opponent by more than 1 million votes, won half the counties in Kenya, 24, was subjected to the Supreme Court, won the Supreme Court order. He is now legitimate president, exercises on behalf of the people protections enshrined in the Constitution to protect their money so they can have hospitals, they can have roads, they can have ambulances, and then you bring me a guy like Mike Sonko, and you tell me he can drive around cars and with some rescue team, and he has stood aside today because he has been named. Misusing the name of the president, these people were going to spoil the institution of the presidency, because many people who are not of the character of Uhuru Kenyatta were putting themselves near him, betraying the public trust because he's a genuine guy, and people were getting the idea that we are going to condone corruption. And I'm saying here at JFK, this is very simple. Everybody carry your own cross.
Let me ask you this, Tony, and everybody, a lot of viewers are probably thinking the same question. What took so long, Tony? What took so long?
I think 3 things. The first thing is the president cannot author the report on corruption. 1 year is required, and as you read in the articles of the Constitution, that there must be a report after some time. That time passed and a report was given to the president. The law requires that he makes it published and publicizes it. And the reason the framers of the Constitution insisted on publicizing is because in Kenya everything has been under the carpet. Unaweka chini ya mkeka, alafu unaendelea kama kawaida. And Jeff, what I am saying, even you yourself, last time I was here, we were talking about agro-leasing.
Correct.
And we were talking about who are the movers and shakers of agro-leasing.
Correct.
I told you it's James Bond.
And then we got sued.
You told me we were taken to court. Sam Shole, the CEO here, Standard Media Group,
yes.
Nation Media Group,
Yeah.
Tonny Gachoka, even Jeff Koinange, award-winning journalist.
By some guy
and
called...
now, today,
Yeah.
you talk
by the way, you forgot YouTube.
Oh, even YouTube was sued.
Who is YouTube?
YouTube, I tell you, even the guys, they wrote a letter and said, you're welcome to sue us, we don't know who you are, but we hear you're Kenya's James Bond. Now, luckily, Getobu Manyara,
yes,
the one most incredible man, let me tell you.
Yeah.
You know,
great guy.
You know, Getobu said, I will defend you and Jeff for free. Getobu
and you know
was
who
in the
else?
cells.
You know who else stepped in?
Who else?
The Grand Mullah. Grand Mullah says, I'm in that team.
He said, I'm coming
We
in.
have our team.
He said, look, I was taken in by Moi in the dark days. They took away my Law Monthly magazine, and now they are attacking the fourth estate. This report is going into your record in your defense.
Okay.
And what does it say?
It says Kenya National Assembly, 9th Parliament, 5th Session, 2006, Public Accounts Committee report on special audit of procurement of passport issuing equipment by the Department of Immigration, Office of the Vice President, Ministry of Home Affairs.
Could you read the highlighted side to defend yourself from James Bond?
You do it, man. You do it.
Well, let me tell you this. John Githongo, speaking there,
former PS,
giving evidence
anti-corruption
to right, he says, and I quote, Honorable Mwereria MP also dropped in on Mr. Githongo and informed him that Mr. Jimmy Wanjege, a businessman concerned about agro-leasing investigations, has sworn that he would kill Mr. Githongo. It is a record of the Public Accounts Committee in the Hansard of the National Assembly.
It's on record.
And who is the signature of this thing?
Go on.
Who has signed it?
The head of the PSC.
Honorable Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, Chairman, Public Accounts Committee. And then, again, I hear Honorable Uhuru Kenyatta, President, Republic of Kenya, say, I'm paid to pay 1.4 billion of money I know was stolen. So I'm telling you, Parliament, I'm asking you guys of Kenya, can you help me get this money? Jeff, what's going on in this country?
You know what happens, Tony? When you mention names, people panic, people freak out. And, you know, despite a disclaimer, and we, you know, disclaimer, we said, whoever James Bond is, you know, he's a character.
And they're now going to sue the president, and they're going to sue everybody without. We are not safe. Look, Sonko was after Kidero. Kidero is after Sonko. Sonko is dirty.
And they're both on the list.
They're all on the list. Look, all the people of Kenya are looking, they're watching on football. Because now this guy names this guy is driving 20 cars with guns. In fact, I thought the other day, if you compare Sonko and James Bond, they operate the same. One has 7 guns, one has a chopper. The other one has the gold cars, the other guy has a gold tooth. You know, let me tell you, what we have to do, and seriously, so,
yes,
is these cabinet secretaries who have stepped aside without saying a word must be honored, because the presumption of innocence is guaranteed under the law. Nobody has said, including the president, anyone is guilty. But those who refuse to step aside and therefore want to use their office to alter evidence, manipulate evidence, destroy due process, then they are committing an offense of obstruction of justice.
Speaking of not wanting to step down, people like Governor Isaac Ruto, who's been on the bench several times, by the way, Bomet governor, been on the bench, says, I'm a simple man. I'm a simple man. And here, I'm seeing 700 million shillings, including a helicopter. A helicopter.
Now, let me say this.
Where's he going?
I want to say this very clearly. In fact, you raise a very important question. People ask me, does the president have the legitimate authority to have named Isaac Ruto, for example? And I asked the person why. He said the president went before the ICC and the president was not asked to step aside. And I said, what do you mean? Before elections, the president told the country, I'm charged before the ICC. These are my charges. And I'm innocent, I'm going to defend myself. He went through the whole process, IBC clearance, all the clearances that are necessary, including getting onto the ballot. The people of Kenya decided this was political persecution. And because the people who should have been before the ICC was Moi Kibaki and Raila Odinga, the guys who were fighting for power, not Uhuru, the public decided to elect him. And therefore he got sovereign power from the people. If Isaac Ruto believes that his helicopter and all those things will get him re-elected, I dare him now on JFK to resign and run again. Having declared and been on this list, and see how many people he'll get.
He said he's not
That's
resigning.
the issue.
He said he's not resigning.
No, then he has no legitimacy. And that is the point. The issue of moral authority, Jeff, is an issue that has grown through humanity. Why are you a Christian and why do you believe in the forgiveness of Christ? Because Christ came and said, if you say, I'm sorry for my sin, you confess, you will be forgiven. Now, the problem you have here is people like the third thief or the cross who say, I have not stolen, you are not God Almighty, and I don't care, see you in hell. And let me say this for those who want to see hell, they are going to see hell under this president. And I tell you the reason why. The thing is here, WikiLeaks. WikiLeaks is the dossier on agro-leasing. Again, it's in also with our lawyer. The American government, under the CIA, has banned from ever traveling to the United States and to the UK, Alfred Gitonga, Arura Pereira, Deepak Kemani, and James Wanjigi. I table that to the Standard Media Group and all your lawyers. And I've just begun talking. And let me also tell you about the commission. Because right now people are saying, oh, I heard there's a resignation.
The EACC.
Somebody resigned. Now, I want to tell you, that commissioner who has resigned, if I'm required by a parliament tomorrow, I will adduce evidence of money in an account which cannot be accounted for in hundreds of millions. I said, if the commissioner who has resigned, and if I'm called by parliament to adduce evidence, I will tomorrow in writing adduce evidence of hundreds of millions in an account. I will adduce evidence of a house illegally procured and why that officer had to step aside. We cannot allow anybody in this country, whether you're a chair or a commissioner of any institution, to derail the fight against corruption.
Okay, but this is the EACC. Does that need to be disbanded, Tony? Because that, can it police itself?
I agree with you. And I am saying, Jeff, from the president himself. I was listening to him today, speaking at the Diaspora Forum at Windsor. He said if there is evidence against him, or Amina Mohammed, or Jeff Koinange, or Tonny Gachoka, none of us is above the law. This constitution does not protect me and you because we have airtime on KTN. It only protects those who are innocent. And how you got on this report, your urgent duty is to go and show your innocence. Because I want to be very clear to you. I have evidence and I have knowledge of gross interference with the running of the Anti-Corruption Authority. I also want to say here today that none of the commissioners were fully aware about what the president would do on that day he did it.
They weren't aware?
They were not aware. They were caught as shocked as they were.
And he threw down the gauntlet.
And he threw down the gauntlet. And the reason is the Constitution gave him the right to receive it from the CEO, the secretary to the commission, any report after 1 year, and to give it and publish it.
Son of Jomo was pissed.
And he was angry. And you know why? Because every day he goes, people ask him for water. They ask him for the rail. They ask him for the laptop. They ask him for maize. And you know, when I saw Raila Odinga speaking the other day, my friend, and I saw Wetangula speaking, I remembered under Raila Odinga was the maize scandal. Kazi kwa vijana problem. I remember even under him was this dispute at that time on who should step aside. Karori Omondi, his private secretary, stepped aside and was taken up by Kasa. Mohammed Isahakia, the permanent secretary, was taken. Raila was asked to step aside and he did not step aside. Now he's saying there's a high priest who should step aside. Why did he not step aside? Let me also ask you this. Wetangula, the Japan embassy scandals and all this. When he was asked to step aside, has he ever cleared his name? When you
he
have
said
people,
he was cleared.
No, by who cleared him? And these are the issues that I want to be very clear about. When you stand and throw a stone in glass houses, you must be very, very careful. The opposition in this country must have stood with the president on one common enemy called corruption.
Okay.
Even Ababu Namwamba resigned.
Tony.
And he withdrew his resignation. Have you ever seen such a thing? You go to the speaker, you resign. Then you go back for the letter which you yourself have written. Then you tell me I'm making this stuff up.
You cannot.
Koinange.
You cannot make it up, Tony. On that note, a lot of critics out there are saying, okay, they're saying a great move by the president, but JAP, Jubilee Alliance, there's still some people who should have been on this list who are not.
And again,
hold that thought.
And again,
why are there some sacred cows here?
Why did I come here to reveal them? Right after the break.
Oh my.
Who am I?
Tony's finishing my lines. Tony, it's like crossfire all over again. Goodness gracious me.
Jeff, do you remember the emperor you wrote about once? What was he called? The one who was carried with the gold, Bokassa.
Bokassa.
What was his, what Central African
Republic, correct, CAR.
And here in...
Jean Bidel Bokassa.
Bokassa, yes. And then Mobutu was, what was
Mobutu Sese Seko Kukubengu Wazabanga.
What did he bring the Rambo in the jungle?
1974.
Muhammad Ali versus?
George Foreman.
So it's Uhuru Kenyatta versus corruption. The Rambo in the jungle.
you can't make this stuff up. Tonny Gachoka, at Tonny Gachoka, at Koinange Jeff. The hashtag is JKL. My goodness, it's getting hot in here. It's, in fact, Tony, you can say this. It's
the smoking. James Bond is smoking. And Obama hasn't even come.
I want to talk about that.
No, Obama,
I want to talk about that.
He's on the way.
Yeah.
Obama's on the way.
He's on the way.
Oh, yeah, with all the satellites.
Is he going to come here?
He's coming. He's going to talk about corruption. He's on the way.
Jeff Koinange Live takes a break. We'll be back in a moment.